Good morning, everybody. This is Judith Jacob. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. So, there's a lot of craptastic things going on in the world, crazy things. But one thing I did enjoy yesterday was football. I mean, listen, I don't know what's going on with the Chiefs. I'm not sure that they get enough players in the offseason. I think they've needed a wide receiver probably for a while. I know Rashid Rice, when they didn't have him at all, he looked bad. But I feel like he's regressed. And all that time off the field after the injury, then getting in all that trouble, I think it's just taken some of his progress and skill set away, because he would have had more time on the field. And some of his plays are great because he's physically is a wide receiver one. He's the prototypical what you want. But I think when you miss reps like that, when you miss time, it shows. And they can't run the ball effectively. I think Kareem Hunt had an amazing day yesterday, but he's not the future. He's definitely older. Will he look that effective in a year? I don't know. They just need to tank up on skill positions, I think. And they have been resting on their laurels because they've been so good for so long. And like I told somebody last week, Patrick can't throw it to himself. So you got to make sure you have enough weapons. And Kelsey, I thought he looked slow last year and should have retired, and he looks slower than that. And I think he still should retire. And I'll be honest, the Taylor Swift stuff turned me completely off the Chiefs. Exploiting that and pointing to her every week, that just really turned me off. I really did not enjoy that. So I was actually kind of pulling for the Colts, because guess what? I haven't rooted for the Colts since Peyton Manning was there 20 years ago. So it was really cool to see them be better. And I always thought, people are going to say I'm bandwagoning, but I'm not. I always thought Daniel Jones was better than people gave him credit for. And I really hated the way they roasted him on the Giants. And I was like, but he's pretty good. Like, he can run. He makes good throws. They just never really had a lot of tools and weapons around him. And then when they traded Saquon out from underneath them, it was like, come on, man. You have Saquon Barkley there. You trade him. I mean, it's clear you're trying to dismantle the team without telling everybody that's what you're doing. And maybe the Giants just are poorly led. Everybody likes the Mara family, but maybe people just don't know what they're doing there. Sort of like the Steelers. I love the Steelers, but are we sure they know what they're doing? They haven't been able to build a decent offense since Roethlisberger retired. Think about that. That was a long time ago. So there's interesting things going on. But the most interesting is Shedeur Sanders gets out there. So I couldn't see the game, but I was able to watch NFL Live. So I had NFL Live and the football games on at the same time. I did a multi-screen. And it was just really cool to see Shedeur get that big win. And no, it wasn't perfect, but he did make some really good throws. But he threw an interception, and it was ugly. But you're looking at a guy who hasn't been able to get out on the field and practice with the first team all year. And I don't know what it is about Kevin Stefanski, but he absolutely hates Shedeur Sanders. He wouldn't even say his name. I think he didn't give him a game ball. This is the first game they've won in weeks. And it's the first time a rookie QB, I think he broke some sort of record. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. Why won't you? He won't even say that kid's name. And I heard a theory about, 2 months ago, and it was Kevin Stefanski is afraid that Shedeur Sanders will do well and his dad will take his job. That they'll just offer the job to Dion, which I don't know. It looks like he is scared shitless of that actually happening. He's scared of something happening, because he will not give Shedeur credit for anything. He doesn't even want to say his name. I think he said his name once in the post conference. And it's like, you guys just got a big win. You look like your mom just died. He looked sad. Kevin Stefanski was not happy. He cannot stand Shedeur Sanders, and whoever is behind getting him on that team. In fact, he says something more positive about Deshaun Watson, who's got a ton of issues and problems and all those sex charges against him and injured and just making buckets of money and not playing football. He says something more positive about him than he did Shedeur. Like, I've never seen anything like this. And I'll be honest, I've had my fair share of haters. As an adult, I really, I haven't spent a whole bunch of time with people I know who don't like me, but I was forced into a situation in a work environment, and I knew somebody was gunning for me, and I knew somebody didn't like me, and it was stressful and difficult. I also do recall being sabotaged once. I was working on a book project. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but O.J. Simpson's first wife had a book deal. And I went to college with his oldest daughter, who's still one of my close friends. And so I was just like, I'll help you with your book. She just did not like the writer they hired. And so when I took over, it was not sanctioned by the publisher. And the person on the account was black. And she didn't like that her friend had gotten kind of moved out of the way. And, I knew Marguerite pretty well, and I knew what kind of book she wanted to write. And the publisher had their mindset on a different type of book. And I'm not going to kid you, man. That lady, that publisher lady, she set me up big time. She would have meetings scheduled and wouldn't tell me the right time. I almost tweeted yesterday, thank God they didn't leave Shedeur off the bus. When you're being actively sabotaged, it's a wild feeling. And it takes a while to figure it out normally. Normally you go, wait, why would you schedule a meeting and not tell me about it? And then they say something like, well, it was just this and this, and we really didn't think you need to be on. Okay. And then it keeps happening. Or they give you a false deadline. The deadline's Friday, but the deadline really was Wednesday, so it looks like you're just missing deadlines. I'm telling you, when somebody's trying to act, that actually happened to me with that book. And then in this office I was working in, and it was political and bullshit, and they just made my life miserable, and they did not want to work with me. I was an inherited staff member, and they just, in a pretty high-ranking position, and they just did not want to be bothered with me. And when someone is openly gunning for you and trying to take you down, it is really, really, God does a work in you to make you patient and deal with it. Because you have to, because most of us can't just up and walk out. There are days you want to, and there are days you want to fire back and be like, hey, but most of us just know that, we need our jobs, or we need something about this experience, so we stick it out. But I'm telling you, that was awful. And I feel like Kevin Stefanski is doing everything in his power to make sure America hates Shedeur Sanders and never gets to see how good he is. I'm not sure why, but he is going to lose his job anyway. All that you were afraid of, all that hate you threw on that kid, and he got out there and the defense was energized. There were plenty of Browns fans or Shedeur Sanders fans in the stands, and they were energized, and they got excited. Fuck around and find out. Let him go. Release him in the offseason. He was a 4th-round pick or something, 5th-round pick. Release him. He's already rich. That's what he can't stand. He feels like he can't control the kid, and you can see it. It's the same thing with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, even though Russell Wilson is old. There's something about certain personalities. They believe they're good, whether real or imagined. In this case, it's very real. He's super talented, and you can't control him because he's already wealthy, and he grew up with a wealthy, famous father. And you can just tell he doesn't want to hear from Dion. He doesn't want to talk to Dion. He doesn't want encourage Shedeur. He didn't even give the kid a game ball. His first NFL win, and he didn't even get a game ball. And he was very much the reason why they won. One of the reasons why. I mean, I'm just telling you, look out for Sabotage. Everybody's not your friend. Everybody. And good for him. He's not even grinning and faking it. It'd be different if he was faking it and sabotaging him. He really can't stand this kid. And I don't know why he thinks he's still not expendable. But when people, whoever made the call to put him on the team was sending a message, which is you have zero control. Right? And Kevin Stefanski has nothing to hang his hat on. You ran Baker Mayfield out of the area, and look at him. He's doing great in Tampa. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're not that great of a coach. And maybe you're about to find out that you're expendable. And you deserve it. Because you keep saying you care about the team, but I don't think you do. I think you're trying to save your ass. Because that's what America is great at. So I think he's going to be toast, because if they don't release Shedeur and he stays there and then he still can't play, or he still gets treated like this, I mean, I think there'll be a mutiny. I think Myles Garrett will even be like, y'all are tripping. And maybe he re-signed with them after saying he was going to leave, just so he could get the assurances that they would do everything to win. And if they bench Shedeur after that performance, expect that, Myles Garrett is going to say something and call them out, because he looked just as stunned and happy as anybody. Like, he's been playing lights. He's been playing so hard and not getting a chance to win. And so the week he came in last week, that game he came into, he wasn't prepared. The lineman was like, I never even knew his cadence. That he hadn't practiced at all with the first team. And people say that that's weird or not weird, but it is. I'm sorry, Dan Orlovsky. I lived in St. Louis when the Rams had Kurt Warner. And Kurt Warner was taking just as many snaps with the starters, I recall, as anybody. And we had Trent Green, and we had hopes that Trent Green was going to save us. That's how desperate we were to have a good team. And this guy who'd been bagging groceries in Iowa, no one had ever even heard of this kid. And he got snaps with the starters. In fact, if I recall correctly, this is, 30, what was this? This was 2000, so this was 25-something years ago, 25, 26 years ago. If I recall correctly, it was the fact that they had been helping him get snaps, and this is in the preseason, with all the teams, with the first and the second, because he was like the third, I think he was the third backup, I believe, because Trent Green got hurt, and then whoever was supposed to be behind Trent Green couldn't go, and then Kurt Warner stepped on the field and blew up everybody's minds. He was fantastic, and I remember, because I watched every single game. And the Rams are dead to me now because they just took our team and shit on us. But, man, that season was magical. And nobody expected that. So, yeah, there is a precedent for your backup working out with the first string. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is football. You don't know when somebody's going to have to get in there. And the fact that you're so nervous that you're going to shake everybody's confidence by letting this kid get reps, that means that this kid is much, much better than you're giving him credit for. And shame on them. Sabotage, man. We are seeing it all in 2025. We are seeing it all.